Let's play some hockey tonight.
Energetic, passionate, and savvy. Gouche Live. Brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Gouche.
Hey, thank you for joining us for another episode of Gouche Live. I'm Kerry Goulet, better known as the Gouche. I'm your host for this show, and this is going to be one of my favorite shows. Why? Because I've been trying to get this guy on for such a long time, and we finally got the technological issues that we had out of the way. Jordan helped us out, our executive producer for today's show, and now we have for you the man, the one and only, Jimmy Mann.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, before we get started, I just want to read something to you. The Sherbrooke Castors, QMJHL, 65 games, 35 goals, 47 assists for 82 points. That's like a superstar.
You know, I think I had with the playoffs, I had like 49 goals or something, or 47 goals.
49, 49 exactly.
49 exactly.
Let me just add one more stat because we forgot the stat. 260 minutes in the penalty box.
Oh yeah, well that shouldn't be a shock to anybody.
Okay, but stop! Don't move.
No,
1979 was the NHL entry draft. Kerry Goulet was supposed to be in that draft, but I never was quite, I guess, tough enough. You took my spot because I was a Winnipegger and I thought I was going to be drafted first overall by the Winnipeg Jets. You're drafted in the first round, 19th overall by the Winnipeg Jets. Don't say anything. In 1979-80 with the Winnipeg Jets, 72 games. This is a rookie year. 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 assists. That's respectable. You're getting to feel the league. 287 minutes in penalty box.
That was the most in the league. I even had a hockey card because of that. Of the hockey cards that Alan Eagleson screwed me on after, I can tell you the story about that one too. You play almost 10 years in the National Hockey League, and you only get 3 hockey cards because. Do you want me to tell you the story or?
Do it quickly.
Really quick. The quick was that I had a fight with Paul Gardner and I sucker punched him, which I did, but broke his jaw and stuff, and I never got another hockey card after that. Alan Eagleson was his player agent, and he was also our player association president, and he blackballed me after for I have no more cards after that. So I only had 3 cards. I had my rookie card. Most penalty minutes on my second year. He didn't give me no more after.
And he did a lot of good for the NHL.
Oh, he was a. I know I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
Now listen, Jimmy. Regardless of what people say, you still played almost 300 games in the National Hockey League. You were a tough guy. You were the bulls out in the corner, stood up for your guys, knew what to do when it needed to be done, and you made no excuses. You just went out and did your job. Would that fairly describe how you played?
Well, exactly. And when I went to Winnipeg, I would like to have done the same job I did in junior. I played hard. I was the toughest kid in junior in my league in the time, and I could score goals. I can do it all. But when we got to Winnipeg, there was we didn't have much left after the draft. You had to only keep so many players because we had that the expansion draft. So there was myself and there was Scott Campbell, who was. He was sick. He had a really bad headaches and stuff. So I was basically on my own there. And in those days, you go to Philly. They had they had Philly, had Boston. They had all the tough guys. Oh, yeah. My first game in Winnipeg, I fought O'Reilly, Secord, and Jonathan in 3 shifts at 20 years old.
Stan, for everybody that doesn't know Stan Jonathan, he's 5'8", 5'8" wide. The guy was like a beast.
I mean, he was, they're all tough players. So every game, and players in those days, they'll say, who's that 20-year-old I think he is? So I was doing a lot of fighting everywhere I went, every city as a new guy. Who's the new sheriff in town here? So I think I sort of got roped into that kind of a playing, and then didn't get much ice time. I was, anyway. But like I say, I'm not complaining of anything on what I've done in my hockey career, traveling with you and doing the Old Timers hockey tour, all my raising money for 25 years with the Old Timers team and with you guys in it. And then what I'm doing today, I have a really good life today, and I do a lot of work for the kids and stuff. So I'm not complaining. What I have is all because of hockey, and I appreciate it as much as anybody else.
Well, and you're a very respected player. People love you everywhere we've gone, even in Germany when you were part of the Hansen tour, which was amazing. You played one of the Hansens, and nobody missed a beat. And obviously in Australia, you were absolutely a true gentleman. And you helped us so much along the way. And what I know is that everybody you say Jimmy Mann to says the exact same thing: passion and compassion.
Yeah, and you have to, like someone told me on the, when I was growing up, I came from my dad and, a medium family. My dad gave me what he could. He was a construction worker, and I was humble to everybody. And the guy always told me, the guy I trained with, he said, if you're not a nice guy on the way up, you're going to have no friends on the way down. And
true.
And I always took that to heart. And I still have my same friends from today as I had when I was playing in the NHL. And people say, "Oh, you played there." I said, "Hey, my job's not any better than you got your job as whatever you do." Yeah. And I respect what you do. It's just that on our job, we're sort of in the limelight a little bit. That's the only reason. But I'm not better than anybody else, and I wasn't. Hey, listen, I had to work my ass off every single year to keep my job. Yeah. And I did. And so that maybe was a good thing because my parents told me, remember where you came from, and I always keep that to heart, and I still do. So
yeah, we know that. I listen to you talk, and you're an inspiration. Barry Shelley joins us, says Jimmy played in Muskegon for the Lumberjacks.
Muskegon, yeah.
Muskegon, that's where I knew that was around that place, and was wondering if you remembered a former Lumberjack who was his assistant coach named Roy Summers.
Yeah, I remember him. I remember him when I played in the Lumberjacks. Yeah, he was assistant coach there. I wasn't there that all that long, but I mean I went down just to beat up Archie Henderson one time, and
you were there for 10 games actually.
Yeah, it was 10 games I was there, and then what happened was then I got suspended for the rest of the year.
Not you.
Yeah. Well, I was in Wichita, and I got some guy went to, I don't know what he went to do, something. And I was between two benches, and I went to go and get him, and he slashed me in the head with a stick from the other team, and I went berserk. I threw all the sticks on the ice and threw them, spearing them at them and the bench. And guys, you're yelling at me, "Don't throw my sticks." They would have a hard time getting them on that league there. So I'm throwing them away in the stands. But I got suspended for the rest of the year, so I went back to Winnipeg.
Hey, listen, this is a great picture too. A lot of people may not remember this, but Quebec Nordiques. Look at that. You look like a young strap. You look like you're
really young. I was only young, yeah. I'm finding people are sending me pictures that I couldn't buy. There's a picture I have of my first year in Laval at 16 years old. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I had pictures, but now we're old now.
Well, that's what happens. They actually take pictures of you. Now, listen, think about this for a second. We're going to get into it about the Jets and Montreal in a few seconds, but tell us really quickly, Quebec, Montreal, that rivalry, because that must have been, you must have had a couple of Donnybrooks yourself.
That was probably the most exciting time. One of the most exciting time I had when it came to playing, with a rivalry team. I mean, we'd go down we would take the bus from Montreal, Quebec City. It's only an hour or something. And, we'd have cars following us and beeping the horns at us and yelling and screaming out the windows. And I mean, it was unreal. And, the big Friday the 13th fight, I was there, but he decided not to dress me. So I don't know what would have happened there. There would have been some other situations I would have played for sure. But I wish I would have been dressed for that game. But it was great. Quebec, Montreal was a great rivalry, and it's just too bad that They don't have it anymore, but it was unbelievable. It was so exciting.
Hey, that 13th, you may have been in jail, for God's sake. So
Well, maybe it's better I was standing on the bench,
All right.
not behind the bench.
So you've been amazing with us. You've been on a Hansen tour, obviously in Germany. I think you remember that little bit of incident that happened with my wife. I wish you would have helped her. You could have taught her how to do the left instead of the right. But you've also been there in Australia. You've been a huge part of us. And I can't thank you enough for what you've done for the Legends. I see behind you, you've got one of the Legends jerseys in the back, a Canadian jersey. The problem is if you stand up just really quickly and show us what we got going on there. Okay, you're conflicted. So I'm not sure where you're going to go, but don't tell us yet. I want to hear you. Toronto, Montreal. In your perspective, from where you are today, what the heck went on?
Well, on paper, if you look on paper, Toronto was one of the better teams in the league, whether in the whole league, But I know, Montreal. I watched them play. They win the first game in Toronto. They come back and they lose their couple more, and they go down 3-1. But the kids that they got are, they want to make a name for themselves. They're all young. They got some good talents, kids that play. They skate their ass off. They go. I mean, hard work pays off. And I think Montreal, when they won their last Stanley Cup, they didn't have a big name, big player, but they worked and worked. And Montreal is like that. Montreal is in your face. They got big players. They made some good changes of players that. No name players, but I mean, except for Stahl and whatever the way. Anyway, but anyway, they just found a way to keep going on much. And I thought the Toronto. I think they were a little bit outcoached in a way because if you have Dano against Marner and their top line. Matthews, and it's not working. Well, you got to change up. You have a last change. You can't keep putting them out there. Put them against someone else. There's something I don't know. I'm everybody's surprised as much as.
Are you really surprised? Did you think that Montreal not?
But listen, I was listening to everybody in Montreal here, and. All the journalists and everybody had Toronto in 6, Toronto in 7, Toronto in 5. And there was a couple of people that had Montreal in 6, Montreal in 7. I put Montreal in 6 just to be different. And I said, I think, if they can work and do what they do properly at the beginning of the year when they were playing, they got guys that can make a change like Byron on the PK. So I just think they outworked Toronto. They blocked the center of the ice. They couldn't move anywhere. The defense were hitting everybody. They got 4 big tough defensemen.
Yeah. And he played a lot of the times. He played 4 defensemen. Like you don't do that in national hockey.
And they were talking about that.
Yeah.
They weren't. But then you turn around and you get you got Carey Price, who was just outstanding. I mean, he was unbelievable. During the season, he was up and down, this and that, and people always wonder about him. But if you look at the last 2 years from last year in the bubble and stuff, he was outstanding, and he was right now. And if you want to go far in the playoffs, if your goalie is hot, you can go far. But I think Montreal deserved every inch of what they got. They worked hard for it.
Yeah.
And, and they got, Gallagher came back, got a big goal. It was a weak goal, but it's a goal's a goal. So, players were starting. Toffoli was getting back into it. So players that they needed to run that they weren't doing in the first in game 3 and 4 or whatever were pulled up their socks and played a lot better in 6 and 7.
Hey, Jimmy, can I ask you? Obviously, people, you can't on the goaltending. Carey Price was absolutely unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
But also, Jack Campbell was not out of sorts either. That one goal, Gallagher, they shouldn't even been in Game 7 if the Toronto Maple Leafs would have played to what they could. But there was one. Jordan, our producer, came up and told me about Corey Perry. I think it was going into Game 5. where, they're down 3-1 and there was a garbage can in the middle of the room, and he brought in his stick, and I don't quote me verbatim, but he took his stick and he put the stick in the garbage can and said, guys, we got to go to these places. We got to score some garbage goals. And all of a sudden, the Montreal Canadiens started to play that system, and they got in the face of Marner and Matthews. And with Marner and Matthews already in that self-doubt from the year before, they just kept that doubt going. And you cannot blame the goaltending, certainly for the Leafs, for not allowing them to carry on. But could you tell me about, the Corey Perrys? You mentioned Eric Stahl. Their veteran leaders played the game the way they needed to play it to beat a team that was far more talented than obviously they were. And their plan worked.
Yeah, you're right. And, they brought in those two guys to do to help the younger guys. And if because me being in 3 hours, I see a lot of I hear a lot of the news about these guys during the year when they brought them in, and the young players, they say, "Wow, you wouldn't believe what he's helped me out." Perry said this and that. They did it on the ice, they did it off the ice to the players, and it's a big part of it. And they got some big goals, and they did what they had to do, and players follow that, and he made them believe in themselves that hard work and follow the system, and you never know what happens. And it was really, really, really great to see the younger players having fun, and they never looked rattled all that much during. They kept saying, "Hey, we're the underdogs anyway, so let's just go out and play."
Jimmy, as we're going to go on to obviously Toronto, is done, and people here, it's almost like a morgue. Understandably, it's been a long time. I just want to end it on this. Ducharme took his youth. They didn't start it. Everybody questioned him right off the bat, but he changed within the stream of the game. He realized, okay, let's bring Caulfield in. Let's do Kakanemi. He knew when to do and push the right buttons. On the other side, Keefe just didn't seem to make adjustments, as you said. But what's astounding is all I'm hearing right now is everybody saying Price and the Montreal. No. They didn't win it. We lost it. And I think it's fair to say, let's go right. Okay, you could debate that. Let's go right down the middle. Yes, the Toronto Maple Leafs lost the series, but you can't take anything away from Ducharme and his coaching staff for pushing the right buttons, where I don't think Keefe did the exact same.
Well, you mentioned today before, you have Matthews and Marner, and you got Deno and Byron and Evans who skate, and Byron's a good. I'm going to tell you something. I am a Paul Byron 150% person. I just love this guy. He's a guy you can put anywhere you want. He'll do his job. He's got good hands. He can score. He can skate. He can change the game on the PK or whatever. And they did a great job. But I don't understand why Toronto didn't adjust. If they had a hard time with those guys, well, you had the seventh game in Toronto. You can change when you want, but they never did.
No,
put them somewhere else. But anyway, and you can't blame the Toronto the goalie because he played very, very, very well during the season. I know it was a bad goal, but if you have a team like Toronto and you cannot come back and help your goalie from a goal like that, then there's other problems somewhere else.
You give Carey Price 3-goal lead, you're going to have a tough time winning the game. Paul Rosen's showing up and saying, "Hey, I love Jimmy Mann," and he's jumped on our bandwagon. Let's go. So the question is now, as we move to the Jets and the Habs, I know you got the playoff beard on. You wanted to make sure all the fans knew you were ready. My issue is, are you going to be cheering for the Jets?
Guarantee I'm going to be cheering for the Jets. It's not even a question. That's where I started my career. I love the city. I love the people in Winnipeg. I love the organization. I thought that they do a great job. They still do. I'm a number one Jets fan all the way. There's no way. For sure, Montreal. I'm from Montreal, but I'd like to see it go seventh game, overtime, and whatever happens. But I'm Jets all the way for sure.
So the Jets fans, the Montreal Canadian fans. I was there at the Winnipeg Arena. Obviously, I think you played in the Winnipeg Arena too before it went to MTS.
Yeah, I played. Oh yeah, I never played the MTS.
Yeah. Tell me how loud the Winnipeg Arena was.
Well, and if you remember, we used to have these tuxedo nights. Remember? And
Yeah,
everybody would buy tuxedos, be all in
unbelievable.
white tuxedos, and
It was
it
unbelievable.
was. I mean, the yelling, the screaming, that what they did, and the passion of the team. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And poor Dale Howard, Chuck, God rest his soul,
Yeah,
absolutely loved Winnipeg.
he was unbelievable.
He was. It was great in living there, and it was great playing there.
So before you got there in 1997, they left. Of course, as you know, here's a great memory. We got Thomas Steen in a picture here. It was unbelievable. Everybody was devastated when the Jets left, and now they're back. And what an incredible history. So let's get into the Winnipeg fans versus now the Montreal Canadiens fans, because William Fay says Price stood on his head. But the fans in the Bell Center was a massive boost for the Habs. Do you think that the fans that are going to be in Winnipeg tonight will be as robust, as loud, as crazy as the fans that were in Montreal?
Oh, probably more, because they're going to have about I don't know how many they're having, but something I don't know. But it's just it's going to be more. They're going to be louder than the Montreal fans. I mean, Montreal fans are loud, but Winnipeg is known to be overly loud. The fans are just I don't know where they get their volume from, but it's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be just be fun. It would be really fun to be part of it out there, but it's going to be something.
Yeah, I was trying to find how many fans. I don't think it's much more.
I think I don't know if it's 25 or 500 but
I think it was 500. I think it's 500 exactly.
It's 500 of people that's been vaccinated that worked on the front lines in tonight.
Yeah, that's what it is. A tremendous.
Yeah, but it's a great thing. But you listen, having 500, 2,000 is better than having none. I'll tell you, that must have been tough for players to play hockey with no fans in the building.
Hey, Jimmy, I'm being asked if the Habs beat the Jets, will you wear a Habs jersey? Of course I will.
Sure.
You know why?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because I love the Montreal Canadiens too. It just happens to be I got a 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. 1A, it has to be my Winnipeg Jets. Let's get into it right now. Obviously, two teams that match up really well. Big defense. Unbelievable goalie, Vezina winner goalie. Two phenomenal goaltenders. Forwards, I think if I'm going to give advantage to Winnipeg, I think I got to give the depth of the forwards to the Winnipeg Jets. Let's just think about goals against. Goals for, they're pretty equal to 282 for the Montreal Canadiens, 3 goals a game for the Winnipeg Jets. So they're pretty close. Goals against 2.95 for the Habs, 2.71. I think we're really equal. There's not one stat that shows anybody's better than the other, but I think what's going to show the same. The leading point getters got 5 points. Leading goals, 3 and 2. So I think Connors and Kakanemi, believe it or not, Kakanemi is leading the Montreal Canadiens in playoff scoring right at this moment, which is crazy. But you got to think about Eric Stahl versus Blake Wheeler. You got to think about Toffoli against maybe an Ehlers. What are your thoughts, straight up? What do you think of the differences between goaltending, defense, and forwards?
Well, I think if you look on paper or whatever, I think Winnipeg have a little bit more deeper at forward. Goaltending, Hellebuyck has played unbelievable. I think I don't know if you could say Hellebuyck has had a great year, and Price was a little more shaky, but he's playing well in the playoffs. I think you got to give that. You can't go to one side or the other. I think you got to go. It's going to be who is the hottest goalie for sure. I think defense a little bit. Montreal, they're a little bigger. They're a little bit more skilled on defense a little bit. But the thing is that with Montreal, they're in your face kind of a team, and they got players that can do a lot of hitting in front. Evans, and you got Byron and Toffoli do a lot of hitting. They got a lot of speed, and I think if Montreal could sort of do the same thing they did to Toronto, block a little bit up the center right, not to let them get some speed going or get going, and be in their face all the time. They might have a little hard time, the forwards. But if you're looking at forwards, with Wheeler and Sheffley and Connor, these guys are the game-changing team, and Stashie and Dubois. If he starts getting going, Montreal, that's another problem they're going to have. So I really think, Kerry, it's going to be a great series. I think if you balance everything out one side or the other, I think 5-on-5 it should be. I think the special teams and goalies are going to make the difference.
All right, listen. Of course, we're just gonna get close to wrapping up here. But here's one. Can we ask Jimmy Mann to call the series, Gooch? Is he going to win? Is he going to win with 4-2, 4-3 for the Jets? Well, I just think what you just said. You're going for Game 7 and just flip a coin. Is that?
I think if Montreal can get to Game 7, it's going to be a flip a coin. I think it's going to go 7. I think it's going to go full 7 and overtime.
I'm not even going to go with 1A, 1B. I'm going to go with my usual call for the Winnipeg Jets. I've been there the whole season. I love Carey Price and what he did. I believed in him coming into this playoff. I just think there's a little bit more firepower, and the Jets can play the system that the Montreal Canadiens can play. But I don't think offensively the Montreal Canadiens have the firepower that the Winnipeg Jets. So I'm going to say it's going to go in 6, and Winnipeg will take it. Obviously, you got to be happy if you're a Montreal Canadian fan, having Caulfield show up, Kakanimi show up. Obviously, you got to love Suzuki. They're small but dynamic. But you also got Josh Anderson, who Josh Anderson and Pierre-Luc Dubois are very similar players. Right. I think maybe Josh has had a little bit more of a scoring touch this year, but they're very big, feisty players. And Paul Maurice, though some people are down on Dubois saying he hasn't produced, he said he loves his two-way game, and he's rugged and he's gritty, and he's going to go to those places to get the puck for a Paul Stastny. I think they're really comfortable with that. Who do you think?
No, it's okay. But when you say that, a lot of people don't look at the game like me and you do. Like guys who've been in the game. They look at what the scoring is, how many goals he got assists, but you got to look at the way the kid is playing. If he does his good job on the defensive part of the game and gets the puck to with other players, and which people don't really sometimes see, you only see a focus on certain things, then for Dubois. But I mean, if he can start shooting the puck a little bit more, he's got an unbelievable shot. Yeah. And I think that's where his problem is a little bit. He's got to get some more shots because he's a dynamic shooter, and he can hurt you. So, like you say, I think it's you can go 7. And we'll go from there. But I mean, if Dubois picks it up and stuff like that, it's going to be another problem for Montreal.
Jimmy, you know that the playoffs are a whole other animal.
Yep.
You can get 100 points in a regular season, but then when you get to the playoffs, it seems like the ice shrinks and you don't have the time and space. Anderson only has 1 goal in these playoffs, and yet he's a dynamic player. Yep. He scored a bunch. Toffoli hasn't scored that much either when you think about it. I know that Dubois has no goals, just 2 assists. So I think you're right. The sticks get a little tighter, people get a little closer, so they got to shoot more. But I got to tell you, this player that's coming up right now, I just love him. And if you're a Montreal Canadian fan, you are going to be exciting for your future, because I'll tell you what, this little kid is dynamic. Look at him. Cole Caulfield. You know that you watch him on the ice, he runs up and down, he's learning. Hey, listen, he's put in a situation where he's only young, and but he smiles, he's enjoying the game, and I think that's a good tribute to the older guys out of like Stahl and those guys are helping him out. Perry,
Perry, get out there and have fun. We'll be there and have fun. Do what you got to do. Do what's the best you do best. And Montreal's got a good attitude, and I think Duchesne, the coach, and Burroughs have the team where they want to. hey, no skin off them. They've been the underdogs since the season started. So you just go out there and play. So I mean, not much pressure on them, and it's going to be exciting to watch. I'm really looking forward to see these.
You heard it from Jimmy Mann, one of my favorites. Listen, Jimmy Mann, we're going to get you on next week if you don't mind.
No problem.
We'll talk about maybe after the third game. We'll see where the series lies.
Yep.
Love to have you on. Maybe we can even get you on one of our roundtables. On Saturday, we do a roundtable with Paul Rosen. You know what? Book that time. We're going to make sure that Jimmy Mann joins the Paul Rosen roundtable. It is going to be fantastic. And we'll get a Montreal Canadian lover, and maybe you can duke a little bit.
No problem.
All right.
Thanks, Gouche, and you guys are great. You got a great show, and anytime you need me, I'm there for you.
Love Jimmy Mann.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, you, buddy. Hey, that was unbelievable. Hey, thank you for coming today. A treat to have a guy that knows what he knows to be in the trenches. He knows to be on the scoreboard, and he also knows how to rock and sock and roll bottom, and I love it. All right. Don't forget, you can find us on Gouche Live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. I do it all. And of course, go to your podcast and find us, and you'll be able to hear great discussions on hockey all throughout with guys like Jimmy Mann on board. Thank you to the Hockey News, Sports Illustrated, and of course, Paramount Sports for their support. See you tonight, Games 1.
You've been listening to Gouche Live with your host, Kerry Goulet, better known as The Gooch, brought to you by the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated.